giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby, and twist myself at the spine. Don't wanna overthink it, baby. It's just twist your body and mine. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak just my mind. Oh. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're chilling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're channeling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, 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 oh,
What is good, everybody? Got this damn cat on the damn thing. Just jumped up there. But what's up, guys? How are you guys doing this morning? Hopefully everybody's feeling all right. It is week 9 of the fantasy football season, and I am very excited, very optimistic about this season, or I guess this week right here, and hoping that you guys are too. Hopefully we can help you guys out with some start-sit questions. So if you have any of those questions, go ahead and throw those in the chat for me. I'd love to answer them for you while we are at the halftime of this Kansas City Chiefs Miami Dolphins game over there in Germany. And so without wasting any more time, man, we're going to do what we do every single Sunday. And let me kill this music, man. Let me kill the music. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and get through each of these games. I'm going to talk to you guys about what the game totals are looking like, what the spreads are looking like, and what type of injuries are in each of these matchups. And then we can talk about each and every one of these as we go through. So without further ado, we got 4 teams on bye this week: Jaguars, Broncos, Niners, Lions. We had Thursday night football of the Titans and Steelers, so we'll not be talking about those. And we have this Dolphins and Chiefs game that's on over in Germany right now, so we won't be talking about those either. But that means we will be starting with this 1 p.m. slate over here on Eastern time for these Sunday games. And the first game that I want to talk about, guys, is I want to talk about this Vikings and this Falcons game. It is a 37.5-point game total in this one. The Falcons are 3.5-point favorites in this matchup, and there is one key injury for my Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins, he is on IR, so we will not have Kirk Cousins in this one. Jaron Hall out of BYU, rookie quarterback, he will be starting. It'll be interesting to see what Jaron does, but it makes it very risky for your Minnesota Vikings receiving options. And then over for the Falcons, we actually have Drake London, who is going to be out in this matchup. And so we will not have Drake London in that matchup. And I see we got a question here. Chandler says Crowder, Trey Palmer, Slayton, Bobo, Rager. This is an 18-team PPR, and I love this question. I love it. 18 teams is nuts. You're a psycho, Chandler. I love it. But for me, I'm going to go with Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder feels like the easy pick in this one for me. So Jamison Crowder will be my pick in that 18-team PPR pick one. Love it. Anthony says, kill the music, put the cat out the room. Hey, man, look, dude, I had to try and get everything together. It's crying. I got in-laws over here right now. My wife's has a ceremony this weekend. She's getting her white coat for medical school. So we got the whole family around. The cat's going crazy, man. Doesn't like all the people around. It wants to hang out with me, and I don't know why it's on the damn table. Get off the damn table. Brando, what up, man? I'm glad to have you here. So, yeah, man, with all of that, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about this Vikings and this Falcons game because, like I said, Jaron Hall is going to be starting quarterback. I don't like Alexander Madison this week. Cam Akers has been getting put in, and he's been getting utilized a little bit more. And Brando says that first half's crazy. For sure has been crazy, especially the end of that one. And then we also have had Jordan Addison, who's been kind of stepping up in his absence. Will that continue with Jaron Hall? My guess is this week I'm probably not playing Jordan Addison. I think we still play TJ Hawkinson just based on the tight end position being what it is. And then everybody else, man, I don't know if we're playing anybody else over for the Minnesota Vikings. Can't imagine you're playing Jaron Hall. Can't imagine you're going out there and throwing KJ Osborne out there. Can't imagine you're doing that. So yeah, man, I think Jordan Addison you're avoiding. TJ Hawkinson, you can play, but other than that, I don't know. For the Falcons, though, Taylor Heineke, he's going to be the starting quarterback, so that's probably good news for Kyle Pitts. Wish Drake London was in this game. He's going to be out, but Kyle Pitts should have a better game. Hopefully, you're going to start him. Start Bijan Robinson like usual, and I think you can even play Taylor Heineke, depending on if you're in a deeper league or you have a super flex league. You can play Taylor Heineke in that matchup, and Brandon's saying he's hoping that Pacheco gets some better yardage in the second half. Definitely. It has been a little bit slower for Pacheco in the first half, but I do think they're going to have to run the ball. I mean, they're up right now. Anthony says flex Jerome Ford or Kincaid. Ooh, this is a tough one. I like Jerome Ford's matchup. He's been coming off the injury. But if this is a tight end premium league, which you didn't mention it, Anthony, you're usually pretty good about mentioning that. If it is a tight end premium, I might lean Kincaid, but I think a normal PPR without the premium, I think I lean Jerome Ford actually. Should be a pretty, the spread on this one is drastic. I mean, it is huge. It's like right now it's like 11 points. I think it's moved up to 11.5 since I've wrote this down. So I think we should have some Jerome Ford. And he says, no, standard PPR, ESPN. Yeah, man, I think I'm going to lean Jerome Ford here. So, but that should be it, guys, for the Vikings and the Falcons game. The next one that we have is the Seahawks and the Ravens. It is a 44-point over under, one of the better point game totals that we've had here. It is a 6-point spread in favor of the Ravens. And thank goodness, no injuries in this one. We don't have any injuries that we have to worry about. So I think we're going to start the usual suspects. You can play K9. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Zach Charbonnet. He's been getting worked in a little bit more. He's been looking pretty good. And so we'll see what happens with Zach Charbonnet. You play DK Metcalf. You can play Tyler Lockett and JSN, but I don't love the matchup for either of those guys. So I think you can find better options than those guys. In fact, Tyler Lockett was on a sit list or a risky list or whatever you want to call it for me this week. So there's those. And I don't love the matchup for Geno Smith this week either. Now for the Ravens, you can play Gus Edwards. You can play Lamar Jackson. You play Mark Andrews. I think you can play Zay Flowers. And you can play that's probably it. That's probably who you can play there. Brando says, I picked up Everett over Otten, so hoping that with Palmer injured, he picks up some of his slack. Yeah, I mean, when it's that deep, I know we talked about it in the Discord yesterday, and if you guys aren't in the Discord, go join the Discord. It's free to join. It's going to be linked in the description. These guys, they get help all day long, 24/7, 365. So we talked about this on the Discord. I do think Everett is the better play over Otten. It's going to be interesting to see, and it does help you that Palmer's out. So we'll see what happens with this Everett stream. But like I said, I don't have either of these guys in my top 15, so it could be tough sledding for either, no matter what. But let's talk about this next game, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, Anthony, where it was dang, voice crack, my bad. Seems like we talked about it, Anthony, with this Cardinals and Browns game. It is a 38-point over under and a 11-point spread in this one. I think it's moved even more. So the Browns are favored to win this one by a lot. And a lot of this has to do with Clayton Tune being the quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. They have not activated Kyler Murray. He is not going to be playing as the starting quarterback in this matchup. They've traded Joshua Dobbs to the Minnesota Vikings. So it's Clayton Tune now for at least another week. So we'll see what happens with Clayton Tune. For me, I don't like that for anybody. I don't like it for anybody involved. I don't know if there's really any Arizona Cardinals that I could say that I'm very comfortable starting. I think Hollywood Brown, he's a risky play this week. I think anybody outside of him in that wide receiver room, I mean, you're talking about like Michael Wilson, like all those guys, I think they're even riskier. So Hollywood Brown's the safest, and he's risky. Trey McBride, I don't know what to get out of Trey McBride this week. I don't know. I don't think it's a smart play to go play any of these Cardinals. It's tough. And then, Amari DeMarcado, he's not going to play in this matchup. So it's going to be, what's his name? Keontae Ingram. And so I don't want to play any of that. And Anthony's right. This is the matchup where you start Cleveland's defense, man. Like, play the Cleveland defense, because it could be a turnover fest, or they could go out there and put up 7 or less points in this matchup. So it's going to be very tough for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm almost fading every Cardinal this week. And so we'll see what happens. But for the Browns, Deshaun Watson is going to play. So we do get Deshaun Watson. What that means for the Browns, I don't know, because he hasn't looked very good this year when he has been playing. So Deshaun Watson, he is playing. Amari Cooper, we can play him. Elijah Moore, I think you're probably going to have better options. He hasn't really been playable this year. David Njoku, I think he's a stream candidate. And Jerome Ford, I think we play him. I think we can play Kareem Hunt as well. So we play all of those Browns that I mentioned. But that's kind of what we're looking like in this game here for the Cardinals and the Browns. So the next game that we have here is going to be the Rams and Packers. This is another matchup that is projected to have a 38-point game total. It is a 3.5-point spread in favor of the Green Bay Packers. And in this matchup, Matthew Stafford is questionable, listed more so as doubtful. Seems like he's not going to play, which means we're going to get some backup quarterback play again. I think it's Brett Ripien. So we're going to get him. I don't know. Puka Nacua is questionable, expected to play. I think if Brett is starting at quarterback, you do still play Puka Nacua. You still can play Cooper Kupp. I'm not benching either of those guys. I think Darrell Henderson's a little bit riskier of a play in this matchup, but if you watched my start sit video this week, I think just because of the inefficiency of the offense with a backup quarterback, that's why I think he's a risky play. But if you look at strictly the matchup for the Green Bay Packers, the matchup is actually pretty decent for Darrell Henderson. So it's more so for me, what you're making the decision on with Darrell Henderson this week is you're trying to decide whether or not you think Darrell Henderson is going to fall into the end zone. Because there's a chance that he can fall into the end zone, especially against this defense. However, how many opportunities are they going to have to get into the end zone with Brett Rypien at the quarterback? I don't know. I don't really want to hitch my horse to that wagon. I don't really. It's just a risky situation, so that's why I have him as a pause and think about it kind of option for you this week. But that's kind of my thoughts on Darrell Henderson. And then we're not playing Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee hasn't been playable for weeks now. Anthony says Logan Thomas or Kyle Pitts, ESPN PPR, no tight end premium. Look, I'm going with Kyle Pitts this week, man. I'm going Kyle Pitts. And who would have thought we'd be at a point in the season where I could confidently say Kyle Pitts in an answer to the question? But we're there. We're there. So Kyle Pitts, I think, is the guy that I'm playing there. Brando says, who would you start, Colts or Packers D? I think in this one, I would much rather play. I think I'd rather play the Packers defense, honestly, but I think that's mainly because it's a projected lower game total, so less points to go around, backup quarterback. Yeah, I think that's what I would go. I would go with the Packers D in that one. So our next game that we have here. Oh, we didn't even talk about the Packers. So for the Packers, we are playing pretty much all of the options that they have. You can play Christian Watson. You can play Romeo Doubs. You can play Jordan Love. Musgrave, we could play him. And then I guess we could play Aaron Jones. I don't know what's been going on with Jones this year. He's really been letting me down. I mean, I guess I know what's been going on. It's that hamstring injury. He's been nagging him, but I'm going to keep playing him. And maybe I'm a fool, but I'm going to keep playing him. So Aaron Jones, we keep playing him. But yeah, that's it. So let's talk about this Buccaneers and Texans game next. So this game is a 40-point game total, 3-point spread in favor of the Texans. So what we're going to see here is no injuries from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but we do have Robert Woods and Dameon Pierce who are out in this matchup for the Texans. And Brando says he thought they're going to let him loose, Aaron Jones. So hopefully they do let him loose. I would really appreciate if they let Aaron Jones loose because it has been rough to start the year. But with Dameon Pierce out, that means that one of the popular pickups this week and one of the more talked about start-sit questions that we've been getting is Devin Singletary. So just to give you guys an idea, and keep in mind these are PPR rankings, just your normal PPR. When I have where I have Devin Singletary in my rankings this week is I have him as running back 24. So Devin Singletary is a low-end running back 2 for me in my rankings this week. I have him in a similar tier as Kareem Hunt, Darrell Henderson, an Alexander Madison, Jaylen Warren. Like all of these guys were in the same tier. Jaylen Warren obviously had a better day than we expected, which is good. But I do have Devin Singletary there as a low-end running back too. So that's kind of where he's sitting in my rankings. Other than that, Tank Dell, you could probably play him. You're going to play Nico Collins. You can play Dalton Schultz, I think, if you need him. You can play C.J. Stroud. For the Buccaneers, Baker, you can play him, especially in a super flex league. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I think we're playing them. And then Rachaad White, we're obviously playing as well. Rachaad White's the start of the week for me, actually. I think he's a top 12 play, running back 1 type of play this week in this matchup. And Anthony says, do I flex Roschon Johnson versus New Orleans or Tank Dell versus Tampa Bay? And so for me, I'll tell you where I have both of them in my rankings. But right now, if I went Tank Dell and then I went Roschon Johnson, and you said PPR, right? You said PPR earlier, so I'm doing it off of PPR. To me, both of these guys are kind of mid-range options. I have Tank Dell as the wide receiver 35, which means, flex play. He's a wide receiver 3, flex play, low-end wide receiver 3. So that's where I have Tank Dell in this matchup. For Roschon Johnson, I have him as running back 29, which means that he's a running back 3 as well. I tend to lean the wide receiver over the running back in a matchup like this. Similar over-unders. The implied team total is higher for the Houston Texans, so there should be more points on that side of the football. Both of the games are in a dome. I mean, I lean Tank Dell in this matchup here. So And Brando agrees. He says, I think Tank is a better start. And Lil Nico, happy to have you here, man. Appreciate you being here. He says Nico or Pittman in PPR. And that is a good question. Let's refer to the rankings here. Where I have Michael Pittman is a top 12 wide receiver. I have him wide receiver 12 overall. And then Nico Collins, I have him as wide receiver 17. So I'm going to be leaning Michael Pittman in this matchup. I do think Michael Pittman is in store for a low-end wide receiver 1 week. So thanks for being here, Lil Nico. But let's get back onto track for this docket. Keep those questions coming in, guys. I'd love to keep answering them for you. But we are now over to the Commanders and Patriots game. That is a 41-point game total, 2.5-point spread for your New England Patriots. And Curtis Samuel's going to be out in this one, so bump up Jamison Crowder. Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne are both out, and Bourne's going to be on IR. So with that being said, Demario Douglas is going to be a popular streaming option. So what I want to do for you guys is tell you where both of those guys are in my rankings right now, because we want to know how they get bumped up. So Demario Douglas, for me, he is wide receiver 32, a low-end wide receiver 3 in my lineups this week, but you can definitely play a low-end wide receiver 3. That is a playable asset in your fantasy football leagues for sure. When I look at where I have Jamison Crowder, he's a lot lower, man. I have him actually as like wide receiver 60, but I feel like the chance of him hitting higher than that is a lot higher. So I have him down there, but I think this was made before we knew that Curtis Samuel was out. We'll see. But Jamison Crowder, he's definitely a guy that I think you can flex in a pinch if you need him this week, just based on how they use that slot wide receiver over there in Washington. Other than those guys, who are we playing for the Commanders? I think that why am I blanking his name? Brian Robinson Jr. Brian Robinson Jr. is a risky play. I don't necessarily like the matchup for Brian Robinson in this one. Outside of him scoring a touchdown, I think Logan Thomas is a fine play. You can play Terry McLaurin. You can play Jahan Dotson. Yes, you heard that right. You can play Jahan Dotson in this matchup. For the Patriots, we can play Ramondre Stevenson, start of the week at the running back position for me, a top 12 play, Ramondre Stevenson. So we'll play him. We can play and you can play Sam Howell for the Commanders. I think Sam Howell is a fine play. He's been a fine play most of the year, and I don't necessarily think he's getting the respect that he deserves. And then for the Patriots, outside of Ramondre Stevenson, I don't know. Demario Douglas, you can flex him. Hunter Henry, maybe you can play him, but I still don't like playing Hunter Henry right now. And Mac Jones, we're not playing him. So that's about it for the Patriots, man. It seems like to me it's going to be the Ramondre Stevenson show this week, and we'll see what happens. Especially because that Commanders defense has traded Chase Young and Montez Sweat. So, no bookend edge rushers over there, and we'll see what happens. So that is that for that game. So the last game on the morning slate here on Sunday, I guess the later morning slate, now that we had the Germany game, is the Bears and the Saints. It's a 41-point game total, 8.5-point spread for the Saints in this matchup. Justin Fields is doubtful. We get Tyson Bagent, or as I've heard Anthony referred to him, or Brando. Somebody in my chat has referred to him as Secret Agent Bagent, and I love it. So Secret Agent Bagent will be starting. Kendre Miller is questionable, but that doesn't really matter. It's been the Alvin Kamara show. So with that being said, for the Bears, you can play DJ Moore. You can play Cole Kmet. Roschon Johnson, I think he's a riskier play, but you can play him too if you need him, just based on how the running back position is. For the Saints, I really like the matchup for Chris Olave. I love the matchup for Chris Olave. In fact, I have Chris Olave as a top 8 wide receiver in fantasy football this week. Kind of making my call, man. I made my call 2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I can't remember. About where I had Jahmyr Gibbs as the running back 2 in fantasy football, and he finished as the running back 1. So I just have that feeling. The matchup is great. The data proves it has enough to back the opinion. Chris Olave, I think, is in store for a very, very good week this week. So we'll see what happens. Maybe, you guys will be able to clip this in a week and be like, hey, remember when you said Chris Olave? Yeah, we'll see. But Brando, he says, what are your thoughts on Carr this week? And that's a good question, because this matchup is going to be very well for Carr. When I look at where I have Derek Carr in my rankings right now, Derek Carr is a top 10 play at the quarterback position. I have him as my quarterback 9 on the week right now. He's just underneath like guys like Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. So it is interesting. I think it's a good week for Derek Carr. It's a good matchup for the Saints as a whole. And with that being said, you can start Michael Thomas as well. And we are obviously starting Alvin Kamara. So overall, I'm all in on the Saints this week. I think all of them can have a very good day. Love Carr, love Olave, love Kamara, all of them. So very good week in store for the Saints, I think. So now that we've talked about those games, let's talk about these afternoon games, which are the Colts and the Panthers, the Giants and the Raiders, and the Cowboys and the Eagles. We'll start with this Colts and Panthers. It is a 44-point game total, a 2-point spread for the Colts. Josh Downs is questionable, but he is expected to play. So Griffin, if you're around, I know that was a question you asked in the Discord last night. Josh Downs is expected to play. So you dodged a bullet there. DJ Shark, he's expected to play in this matchup, and Laviska Shenault, he's going to be out in this matchup. I don't think the Laviska thing matters much. So who are we playing in this matchup? Gardner Minshew, maybe you can stream him. Superflex, maybe you can play him as a QB2. You can play Jonathan Taylor. You can play Zach Moss. You can play Michael Pittman Jr. You can play Josh Downs. And that's it for the Colts. For the Panthers, we can play Bryce Young if we need him. We can play Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen's a fantastic start this week. In fact, Adam Thielen right now, he's the thumbnail of the video. He's also my wide receiver 5 on the week. Adam Thielen is going to have a fantastic week. So Adam Thielen is a play here that we can play. I think we can play Jonathan Mingo, but I may be a week early or 2 weeks early on this one. So that's somebody we can play there as well. And then I think we played Chuba Hubbard, man. They said that Miles Sanders has now been benched. He's going to be backing up Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard has looked better. And that's a miss from us, guys. So I apologize if I pumped up Miles Sanders and made you draft him. I apologize. It looked good. Everything looked good in the offseason. I missed. This is where we're at with Miles Sanders. So now we have to correct ourselves. It's Chuba Hubbard's team. So we're not starting Miles Sanders. You can trade Miles Sanders. You can do whatever you want. People might not want him, but we missed on Miles Sanders this offseason. He was a my guy for me, so I apologize. Can't hit them all. Hopefully you drafted one of my guys, which was Justin Herbert, because that's been a good one for you this year. So for every bad one, we'll have a good one, and hopefully we have more good ones than we have bad ones. That's the goal over here, and hopefully we win some championships. With that out of the way, because it was just eating at my conscience. It was guilty. I felt guilty for telling you guys to draft Miles Sanders, but start Chuba Hubbard. I see Anthony. He says it is Secret Agent Bajent. He loves his UDFA finds, and Anthony dives deep, man. I love how deep Anthony dives. Brando, and he says, yeah, Mingo might be a sleeper, to be honest. I think he's a sleeper for real, but I think we may be a week early, 2 weeks early, but I'd rather be early than late to the party on Mingo, because you might be able to pick him up for the free right now rather than having to spend a bunch of fab on him later. So Mingo might be a sleeper right now. But that's who we're playing in those matchups for the Colts and the Panthers. So let's move on to the Giants and the Raiders. And, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo is benched. It's Aiden O'Connell at the quarterback position. New head coach, Josh McDaniels. See ya, buddy. You're not fit to be a head coach, apparently, is what it seems like after the Broncos stint and the Raiders stint. Just go back and, get under Belichick's wing and coach his offense, man. So that's that. We'll see what happens with this game, but it is a 37.5 game total, a 1.5 point spread in favor of the Raiders. And I like the matchup for Josh Jacobs. I think they're going to run the damn football. So Devontae Adams said he's happy now. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. But Tyrod Taylor is on IR. Daniel Jones is back now. So Daniel Jones will be back. And then Darren Waller has moved to IR. So starting tight end Daniel Bellinger, Dynasty gem Daniel Bellinger from last year. He's the starting quarterback again. Starting tight end again. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't expect him to be very, very good for your redraft purposes this year. But who are we going to play in this matchup? You start Saquon Barkley. You can play Daniel Jones with caution. And then outside of that, you can maybe flex Wan'Dale Robinson, but that's about it. For the Raiders, I love Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. I'm not playing Aiden O'Connell. And I think Michael Mayer, you can play him based on where it's at, but there is a possibility here where Aiden O'Connell doesn't look good. So, do that with caution. But regardless, I love the matchup for Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs seems like he's matchup proof in this one. Whether O'Connell is good or bad, Josh Jacobs seems like he's going to be fine because, Josh Jacobs is going to be a beast. I currently have Josh Jacobs right now as my running back 8 in PPR leagues right now. So, Josh Jacobs, man, he's a start of the week for me. So let's move over. We have a couple games left, and then we got some football to get back to. So Cowboys and Eagles is the matchup here, the last of the afternoon games. It is a 47-point game total, 3-point spread in favor of the Eagles. No injuries for either's team. So we're unloading everybody in the matchups, right? Play Dak Prescott, play CeeDee Lamb, play Tony Pollard. You can probably stream Brandon Cooks at this point. You can play Jake Ferguson. For the Eagles, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift, and Dallas Goedert. We're playing all of them. So just unload all of those guys. Don't think about it. It's 47-point game total. We're fine. Anthony says people forget Chuba was a Heisman contender, but bad O-line and rookie QB. The offense is mediocre at the moment. Yeah, it's mediocre right now. But Chuba's looked fine, man. He's looked fine. We'll see what happens. I think he can give you some running back 2 numbers this week. And then Pollard said, or Brando says Pollard better do something this week. Hell yeah, man. We need to see him. We need to see him step up. But it is a tough Eagles defense, so keep that in mind too. But how much longer are we going to keep making excuses for Pollard? I don't know. So let's go to the next game, and it's welcome to the jungle, baby. We're back. Bills and Bengals, 50.5-point game total in this matchup, 2.5-point spread in favor of the Bengals. The only person on the injury report of relevance for fantasy football is going to be Joe Mixon. He has a chest injury. He's questionable. He's expected to play. Don't overthink it. Mixon's going to be playing in this matchup, and we're firing everybody up, man. We're firing up Josh Allen, James Cook. We're going to fire up Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid. This damn cat is going to hop up on this thing again. We can fire up Gabe Davis. We're going to fire up for the Bengals, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. We're going to fire them all up, guys. So don't worry about it. We'll fire all of those guys up. Anthony says any coach who ties themselves to Tim Tebow and Jimmy G for their starters, they need to reconsider life decisions. Yeah, I would agree with that one. Brando says Mixon's or Higgins is my dilemma still. I go Mixon, man. I still lean Mixon. I do. I still lean Mixon. And so that's what we're going to be doing in that matchup. And so last but not least, last game here before we go back and watch some football, guys, is Chargers, Jets, Monday Night Football, 3.5-point spread in favor of the Chargers, a 40-point game total. Joshua Palmer is out, like we talked about. Allen Lazard is questionable. Seems like he's going to be a game-time decision. We'll see what happens with Allen Lazard. So in this matchup, we can play Breece Hall. We can play Griffin. Is that a question about Keontae Ingram? We can play Breece Hall. We can play Garrett Wilson. I think we can play Garrett Wilson in this matchup. And then that's probably about who I'm playing from the Jets. Honestly, you just play those 2 studs for them, and then I'm probably not playing anybody else. And then for the Chargers, we play the usual suspects. We play Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and then I think you can flex QJ this week. And then if you're Brando, you got to plug in Gerald Everett, I guess, and see what happens in the absence of Josh Palmer. So that's where we're at with those games. Griffin, I'd love to answer your question before we hop out of here. He says, do we have faith in Keontae Ingram as a sneaky start? Honestly, I don't have faith in him. I mean, he should see volume. I just don't expect this Clayton Tune. And maybe Clayton Tune comes in and he surprises me. There's a chance he comes in and surprises me, but I just don't expect them to be a great efficient offense against a really, really good defense that the Browns have this week. So I'm not big on Keontae Ingram. Is there a chance he falls into the end zone potentially and saves a day on their 1 or 2 only red zone attempts? It always could happen, but I don't like Keontae Ingram this week. I don't have faith in him. And I'll tell you where I got him in my rankings, just so you know. Keontae Ingram right now is currently sitting as my running back 34. So a low-end running back 3, which for the most part is pretty much a flex. Brando says, got Herbie, Eckler, and Everett, hoping just a solid outing from those 3. Yeah, it should be. And dude, I'm about to end the stream just because this damn cat. Anyways, I guess she can chill there, right? She'll chill there for the rest of this. So anyways, that's what we have for these. I think we'll have a good week 9, man. Hopefully you guys all are excited, optimistic. I'm optimistic. I'm happy. Where my teams are at. Hopefully you guys are happy where your teams are at as well. I think we're getting close to that time where we got to start looking at some playoff schedules. Brando, dude, this thing's been a damn problem this whole stream. It's never been a problem until right now. It's just been a damn problem. But we'll see. Maybe I got to put a lock on the door. So anyways, guys, that is what I have for you guys today. If you did enjoy the stream, if you feel like I helped you out, do me a favor and hit that like button down below. It's the best free way to show our channel some support. Griffin in with a final last second question. He says Ingram or Roshan. I'm going to go Roshan in this matchup. And so, yeah, go ahead and hit that like button for me. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Would love to have you guys join our little community that we have here. Feel like we're building a good one over here at the League FFB. And with all of those things being said, let's go back and watch some football in Germany. And I'll see you guys on the next one. So until then, peace out, guys.